JBN, we keep you informed. Police arrest 82-year-old man in Manchester for rape and sexual assault of a woman and her two children. Police have arrested a great-grandfather in Manchester for the rape and the sexual assault of a woman and her two children who reportedly went to him for spiritual advice. He is 82-year-old Joseph Anderson, who police described as a spiritual advisor. Anderson of Harmon's district in porous Manchester has been charged with rape, touching a child, grievous sexual assault, and indecent assault. Reports are that a 44-year-old woman from St. James journeyed to Porus with her two girls, aged 6 and 14, on the advice of a friend that she could find an Obeahman there to remove duppies from the children. According to police reports, the woman claimed that Anderson told her that he could help remove the duppies, but she and the girls would have to engage in sex with him. The woman and the two girls were reportedly at a house in Harmons between Wednesday evening, May 13, and the Thursday morning, May 14. According to the police, Anderson had sexual intercourse with the woman without her consent. While at the house in Harmons Porus, Anderson reportedly also sexually assaulted the two girls. A report was made to the police and an intense investigation was launched. Police sources say the woman and one of the girls suffered physical harm and have been hospitalized. Elderly St. James couple and grandson perished in Westmoreland crash. A St. James elderly couple and their grandson became the latest road fatalities in western Jamaica on Tuesday when they perished in a motor vehicle crash along the Paradise Main Road in Westmoreland. 3 other family members, including a 3-year-old child who were in the ill-fated vehicle, also sustained injuries in the accident and are currently hospitalized. The deceased have been identified as 80-year-old landscaper Neville Orton, his 82-year-old wife Harris Orton, and their 35-year-old grandson Conroy Beckford, a barber, all of Gordon Crescent in Granville, St. James. Another grandson and his common-law wife, as well as their 3-year-old daughter, were all admitted to the Savlamar Hospital with various injuries. Reports from the Savlamar police are that shortly after 2 p.m., the family was returning home to St. James from their farm in Westmoreland in a grey understep wagon motor car which was being driven by Beckford. Upon reaching a section of the Paradise Main Road, the right rear tire blew out, causing the driver to lose control. The vehicle ran off the road, overturned, and slammed into a large tree. Beckford and his grandparents died on the spot. The other 3 persons were rushed to hospital where they were admitted. Family and residents who gathered at the deceased house yesterday were still in shock as they mourned the tragedy. Isilda Moody, daughter of Harris Orton, struggled to express her grief. They were the nicest couple you could ever find. Both of them have been together for as long as I can remember, and they was a Christian couple who were deep in faith at the Granville Seventh-day Adventist Church, said Moody. I don't know how the family going to manage. It is just too much, she added. Meanwhile, the police have summarized that speeding may have contributed to the accident. This is another example of why motorists need to exercise caution when traveling on the roadways and also to cease from speeding. It is a very unfortunate situation to know that a family has lost 3 of its members all at once, and other relatives, including a child, have been injured as a result of the accident, said Sergeant Andy Birch, sub-officer in charge of Area 1 Reconstruction Unit. Since the start of the year, Westmoreland has recorded 20 road accidents, which have resulted in 21 people being killed. A total of 46 people have been killed in 42 road accidents across western Jamaica since the start of the year. Man shot dead in Chalky Hill. The St. Anne police have launched a probe into Wednesday's shooting death of a man in Chalky Hill in the parish. The deceased has been identified as Leroy Pratt of Chalky Hill. Reports are that about 6 p.m. residents heard loud explosions and alerted the police. On the arrival of the lawman, Pratt was seen suffering from gunshot wounds. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The police have since launched a search for his killers. 400 more ship workers waiting to be welcomed home. The more than 400 Jamaican crew members aboard the Carnival Glory passenger cruise ship are now hanging on the hope that the Jamaican government will welcome them home after granting the Adventure of the Seas with 1,044 of their countrymen approval to dock yesterday. Up to Tuesday afternoon, the Carnival Glory was located about 285 nautical miles northwest of Kingston. Vance Gullickson of the Carnival Cruise Public Relations Office in Miami said yesterday that the cruise liner continues to have constructive discussions with Jamaican officials and hope to be able to debark our Jamaican national crew members in the coming days. Carnival said that within days after the March 13 pause in cruise operations, Carnival Cruise Line had debarked guests from all 27 of our ships, and our full attention turned to the health and the safety of our onboard team. It added that when the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's no-sail order was extended in April, Carnival made the decision to repatriate a vast majority of our crew in conjunction with our announcement to suspend operations until late June, which has now been extended again until August. But it's of no comfort for the Jamaicans on board who are longing for home. The Holness administration on March 24 closed the country's borders to incoming passenger traffic to curb the spread of COVID-19. It is not pretty out here. We are hearing of people and some other vessels attempting to jump overboard, stated McNeil Miller, a bartender on board Carnival Glory. He said nationals are adamant that they should be allowed to come home. Imagine little St. Lucia took their people. Every other little island took their people. And yet our government can't find a place for us. I'd rather go home and isolate in my own home than being here any longer, even though we are being treated well, Miller said via WhatsApp. But that reasoning has been contradicted by Jamaica House, which argues that it has had to balance the right to entry with public health risk from the new coronavirus. The government has also cited the logistics of operationalizing quarantine facilities as a key concern. The global pandemic, which has killed 323,000 and infected nearly 5 million, found cruise ships to be ready incubators for the virus spread. However, a 38-year-old waitress using the pseudonym Shelley Brown, because she was not authorized to speak, said that she's at her wit's end trying to make sense of the government's insistence not to have them disembark. She said Jamaicans aboard Carnival Glory were told by the ship's management in early May of a schedule to get them home, but they were later left agonizing after it was revealed that those plans were scuppered when it became clear that the government was scrambling to identify and prepare quarantine facilities. Brown explained how ship crews of various Caribbean nationalities ended up together. Jamaicans were placed aboard the same ship with other Caribbean nationals. So far, they have taken home the St. Lucians, Vincentians, Grenadians. We have been to Barbados, Dominica, and the Dominican Republic, Brown said, adding that it was shameful that Jamaicans could not return home despite the efforts of the vessel's operators. The mother of 6 said that the meetings have been held with Carnival Glory's management over the past 2 days, and that Jamaicans were informed that the initial plan to head to Jamaica on Tuesday morning was no longer an option. They said it was not going to be possible because our government is having issues with quarantine facilities and the persons who are held in quarantine, Brown said, adding that she is often comforted by the fact that her husband, a chef on the same vessel, is with her. But he's not doing well. It is like he is in depression. He hardly speaks to anyone at the moment, Brown said. Maritime sociologist Dr. Carolyn Graham said, however, that maritime law is complex and nuanced. She urged that an understanding of law have preeminence over pontification. Employers of seafarers are obligated to repatriate nationals under the terms of the law of the sea, and if that fails, then the flag state is responsible. But in these unfrequent times, the Jamaican authorities have responsibility for that. All the talk that has been going on suggests that they really don't know how shipping works or they don't care, Graham said. But that's cold comfort for a group of 16 Jamaican contract workers based in the Bahamas who are aboard the Carnival Glory. Dwight Mitchell from Battersea St. Anne described his ordeal as something scripted for a movie. On April 23, Mitchell and his crew were flown from Freeport in the Bahamas to Miami and then New York. before being taken to New Jersey. Wishful thinking gave them the hope of traveling back to Jamaica on the 24th, but they flew back to Atlanta after realizing that that door was closed. Mitchell said that upon arrival in Atlanta, they were met by a group of 70 or more Jamaicans who were to join them on a Delta Airlines flight back to the island. But that hope ended in bad news. Well, the plane did leave for Jamaica, but only with our luggage, as we were taken on board this ship. Effectively, we have to be doing without our luggage from then, he said. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.